Hey everybody, welcome back, and we're working on the tow rail still, although we're getting further and further aft, so we're definitely making progress. This is the last little bit around midships on the starboard side that needs to go away, and it's obviously difficult to get to because it's right in front of the chain plate and over the water, so I can't lean over and just cut it off with the circular saw or any kind of saw. So I'm just manually chipping it away really dirty like, and I'll fix it a little bit better afterwards. So using the chisel for this work obviously leaves a very nasty surface behind, which needs to be planed and needs to be sanded down to be smooth. The area in front of the chain plate is particularly bad because I suspect that's where water ingress has been coming in all this time. But worse, because the chain plate's in the way, and I wanted to bring it down and knock it down as much as possible, keep it in line with the deck. The chain plate is just sitting on top of the deck, but I've got like 2 millimeters of space between the chain plate, the tow rail and the deck. So I'll come along and I'll continue to chisel it away and try and smooth it out. Leaves this wavy look that you can see, but it's definitely getting there. I'll definitely need to do some work to it still, but it's not so bad. So I've made a rare and wise decision, and that is to purchase a small hand plane. This is about the cheapest hand plane you can buy on the market. It's definitely not great, and I still don't have much room to work around the chain plate. But it does help me knock down the areas, and I don't have to get so aggressive with the chisel. So I'm going to try and use this as much as possible around chain plates and area over the water where I wouldn't otherwise be able to reach. But I tell you what, it's very uncomfortable, and that handle isn't very good either. So even on the other side, on the port side, midship, knocking the area down with this not so great hand plane does help a little bit. I'll probably come past here anyway with the electric planer, but because of the size of the body of the planer and the little motor that sits on it, I can't really get in close enough to where I've already cut. But since that's all going to get cut away anyhow, I just need it smooth enough so that I can glass the area later on in the video. Now this side especially, since I'd like to, as soon as possible before the winds and the rains come, try and install a cleat here. I don't think I'm going to make it, but I'm going to rush this area as fast as possible. And now with Old Faithful. This'll knock it down good and quick. Right, and now maybe I can start untangling this mess. I need to cut all of this away as well. I'll do it as quickly as possible. I've only got, I think, a day before the rains come. So I know waiting for ideal weather is always a sailor's problem, but it's that much more so when you're trying to stop an area with leaks. Nobody likes a soggy boat. So I'm going over all the areas I've just planed and just giving it a light epoxy because I know I'm not going to make it in time before the rains, and I want to seal everything up at least a little bit. And now I can finally knock all of this back. And since you've seen a lot of this already, I'll move on with it super quick speed. So this is wet. And there's a gap, so this is where some of the ingress is coming from rather. Yeah, it's really rotten. This is the original teak decking. Oh yeah, I don't even have to try very hard. It just breaks apart. Oh. So what you saw there is the kind of stuff that I find and why we're doing this whole job in the first place. Water has gotten in through the old rotten teak and met up with the tow rail beam, and then the deck hole joint there's a beam underneath that, and there's a small cavity. So water's been filtering into that cavity and creating black mold and rotting away the wood underneath it. So in dire need of repair, and that's what this is all about. Right, next up I'm going to fill this cavity with some thickened epoxy. Although not super thick epoxy, it's still slightly runny. It's what I've done before, although in this case the cavity isn't so big, so it's not going to require a massive filling. What I've done before is I would use thickened epoxy and teak dust to fill that cavity and create an almost fake sort of wood. But this isn't a structural area, and it doesn't need that kind of heavy repairs. It just needs to be filled slightly, and I'll smooth it out, and then when I glass over it, it will get faired and it will become one single piece tied with the boat, and hopefully a lot stronger and waterproof. Alright, it's the next morning, and as you can see the weather's turned. There's still a little bit of light out, but enough that I can quickly get this glass work done. I wet out the surface first so that I've got a sticky bond that can help me, and I roll this 100 ml or 10 centimeter matte weave glass over it. It ties with the deck and it goes over the turrel portion, but I don't loop it down over the side, it just goes to the edge because the edge of all of this is going to get routed further on down the road. Then I take my epoxy, and I like to use a brush. I just dab some epoxy on and then I work the bubbles out with the brush. This method works really well for me, especially on smaller areas like I'm doing here. I don't need a roller or anything. If I was to do a larger piece of glass, I might do a roller and then I'll use the proper tools to do that. But this works really well to work the glass into the little voids and to work the bubbles out of those voids. And I'm very hardcore, so I'm literally standing on the water on one of my stern lines just so that I can reach. Alright, this area is now done. Let's have a quick look and see what it looks like. Obviously by the chain plate it hangs over it a bit. I'll cut that off when it's dry. But not too bad. All the bubbles are out, all you can see are the filled areas underneath it. And let's do this everywhere we can, while we still have a little bit of light. And then finally this little patch where we filled out the day before. And here you can see the other one. This will be good. Oh dear. So it looks like this broke. Yep, definitely broke. This is the situation we have with most of our port lights. So I see some water got in. There's now absolutely no way of locking this up. And water's definitely going to leak through there. Alright, I will have to make a plan here. And it's now later in the day and just enough time to fair this area out a little bit. At least the first stage of fairing. Just like before, I'll come along, I'll fair this, I'll sand it back, and I'll probably need to fair a little bit more. But I wanted to get started as soon as possible, and I wanted to try and beat the rains. In the coming week I will have to install a cleat here, and I will show that to you in the next series probably. But that'll probably have to wait until next week. So again, thank you everybody. If you found this enjoyable, please like, please subscribe, and please comment and share your thoughts with me and your ideas. I absolutely appreciate it, and I'd love to engage with all of you. So have a great week, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.